So, good morning or good night, depending on where you are in the world, and welcome to another interview of the Shield Dude on a Couch. And today, Couchers, I have a big one for you. I'm talking with Aiden from Elvenking, which,
Hello.
if you haven't if you lived on Earth, you know that they are a huge metal band that's been around for a while now, and they put a lot of albums like if you like Lord of the Rings, mythology, and good stuff like that, you will enjoy them. So first of all, Aiden, how are you today, my friend?
Everything's good. Everything's good. It's night here, so it's been a long day, but everything is fine so far. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you're in it's in Finland.
No, I'm from Italy.
Yeah, you're in
Italy.
Italy.
Yep.
Oh my God, what the hell? Yes, you're an Italian band. I don't know why I
Yeah.
thought that with Finland.
Yeah, because we look like Finnish people.
Well, I don't know. So yeah, no, you're an Italian band. Oh my God, it's been a long day for me too. So
Yeah.
I say I like that poster you have on the background. Uh,
Yeah. Some
with the wind?
old movies. Posters.
Yes, I think that's Gone with the Wind, right?
No, it's no. It's the word of Susie Wong, which is another very old movie from the 60s, I think.
Yeah. Well,
Yep.
it looks cool. I know that
Yep.
because I've seen some of your other interviews, and I know that you
Yep.
have
Yep.
that background. So
Yep.
you must feel like you have been talking like 2 months already for this
Yeah. More.
album that's coming out on April 11th. So, Reader of the Runes, Luna. So this is the third in the trilogy that you've been doing. Uh,
Exactly.
so yeah, you've been talking like a month about this. Like when you started this story with this, did you always envision that you were going to do a trilogy for this one?
No, not at all. We wanted to do a concept album since a long time. That is for sure because we are big fans of the big concept album of the 80s and 90s. Talking about bands like King Diamond, Sabotage, and Wasp and stuff. And we wanted to do a concept album. That was for sure. But when we started to think about the story that to tell, it was so complicated and long that it was immediately clear that it was not possible to condense everything into one single album. So we decided to go with a trilogy of albums, not knowing that this would have been so long and so exhausting and so and so difficult to do because in the end we are working on this project since 6 years now, so it was a long journey.
Yeah, because you have like character stories. I'm wondering, like, now that you are finished with this trilogy, like for future albums, would you go like back and maybe like do albums on certain like characters in the story?
Not at all. What we are saying is that we really cannot wait to finish this and go back to the normal way we used to do the album without being forced to adapt your songs to the character, to the part of the story, create this special atmosphere because the story is telling that and so on. So return back to write and songwriting with more freedom, without being linked to a story, to a character. So we really cannot wait to return to write just simple songs, yeah, as we used to do back.
You know what? I would feel the same. I would feel like
Yeah.
this almost felt like you were doing like a thesis.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. If it was only one album, maybe, yeah, it would be great. But, doing three albums like that, it was really, really long. We didn't probably expect it ourselves to be so challenging. And then because of the COVID-19, the thing, were also in the end longer than expected because there was that period with COVID-19 that basically stuck everything in their homes, and we needed to prolong the phase of songwriting and everything as well.
Yeah. So when you were writing the stories for this whole trilogy, did you have like a chalkboard where you wrote timelines of characters and had like things?
Yeah, yeah. In the end, yeah, it was like this because it was mainly like writing a book because it's a big novel, let's say, with eight main characters, the reader of the runes, and we needed to, to have a clear vision of how the character are, what are their behavior, and how we also try to imagine how this character should be. So it is really a lot of description and a lot of studies on the character. So we had our notebooks with all the characters, with all the everyone's characteristic behavior, what they need to do, how they gonna die, or so on. So there are a lot of books, a notebook with a lot of uh, handwritten notes from ourselves to take the story in line as we wanted to.
Yeah, because you might get confused, and
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
like reading or watching like Game of Thrones. There's so many families that sometimes I remember watching it and I'm like, I don't know who the hell they're talking about now.
When I watched Game of Thrones, I needed to have a scheme with all the characters to have clear vision of who are they related to and so on. So obviously our story is not that complicated, but still being not something that you watch, but something that you listen to and try to follow with the lyrics. We still needed to have something like this. And also I think it's gonna be still difficult. So for example, in the box set of the new album, we will try to make a summary of the story of the characters in order to, now that we are at the very end of the story, try also to make it a little bit easier and clear for the listener to follow the characters and who are they, who what they were doing in the previous album and so on. So try to summarize the whole story.
Yeah, this is a hard album to review because if you fuck up anything in the story, people will be in the comments, how dare you?
Yeah, yeah, exactly. We cannot spoil too much because we cannot tell what, because it's the very end of the story, so we don't need to talk too much about that and so on. So we need to leave the things for the listener to
Yeah,
to
so since this
discover.
trilogy, let's talk about movie trilogies. Like, what's your
Yeah.
movie trilogy of all time?
Okay, this is too easy because obviously I've been a fan of Lord of the Rings since I was a young kid. I watched. I read Lord of the Rings when I was probably 10 years old or something like that. So it was still difficult for me at that age to read it the first time. Then I read it again, obviously. But I never thought they were able to do a movie trilogy of such a complicated world and with such an epic environment. But it was, yeah, amazing what Peter Jackson and his team did with that. Still, there are a lot of other movie trilogy that I love. I don't know, Matrix, for example, is one that come to my mind. Star Wars, it's more than a trilogy. It's a lot of
Just your
yeah, exactly. Such an extended universe. I don't know what else. There are a lot. I think a lot of. I'm a movie fan and movie maniac, so I love all the things around cinemas and stuff. So
Yeah. So when you started doing this whole project, did you approach it like almost like it's you're doing like a movie or a book?
yeah, that was the approach. Yeah, obviously, that was the idea. A lot of people are asking, "Oh, are you gonna do something around that? Maybe write a novel, or maybe doing a TV series," which is obviously impossible for our budget. But obviously, it's a story that could become something. For example, I see it very good as maybe a graphic novel, a comic. It could be very, very good. There are some people in South America that are working now on a video game out of this world. So that is another interesting thing that could.
Awesome.
Yeah, they are sending the first animation of that one, and looks very promising. So cannot wait to see it. Also, there are people that are working on some D&D Dungeons and Dragons adventure based on this universe. So it's another great thing. So I think that it could be, reported in various things
You could do
artistically.
like a
A,
metal play,
a what? Sorry.
a metal play, or like an opera.
Oh, that would be amazing. That would be another amazing thing. That is a thing that I would really love to see. Maybe a metal opera, a real metal opera in the theater with music and acting. That is something that would be
Yeah,
very interesting. Yeah.
you can take the free albums. Obviously, there has to be like an intermission because it was
Yes.
a almost 4 hour show. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, the albums are long. Uh, But yeah, it would be interesting. But I'm glad to know that after this, you're like, no, we're going to writings, normal albums, no more stories for us. Well,
No.
yeah. I One of the tracks that obviously I'll talk about the ones that are singles that are out, so we won't spoil for everyone.
All
Uh,
right.
One is Luna, which has a cool music video. Tell us a little bit about that one.
Well, that is, I think it was the perfect choice for a single because, it was a pretty straight song, a very, very short one. And when I first, when we had the main melody, it was immediately click like, oh, this could be a single to present the new album because it is pretty catchy. We wanted to make a pretty straight to the point song, a short one, and I think we succeeded in doing that. We have already played it live during the Pagan Fest tour that we did in January, so it was first time we played live and worked pretty well. Yeah,
Yeah, no, it's a cool track, and the music video is cool as well. Do you enjoy the process of doing music videos?
it's one of the things that I hate the most, I think. It's one of the things that really I really hate because you stand there from 6 in the morning a.m. until 3 in the night, and you just wait to shoot some small parts. Then you need to stop, change the everything. Maybe in this case, it was a really hot day. I remember it was in the summer. So usually it's a nightmare shooting video. Yeah, maybe it is cool the final product because you see it all edited and everything, but it's really exhausting and usually you need to travel a lot to reach the location where you want to do it, and maybe for us it's always something inside the nature maybe, so you need to bring heavy stuff, the drums inside a wood for kilometers maybe or something like that, so usually are really 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 bad days.
Hmm. You're like, why couldn't we shoot in a warehouse?
Yeah, that's what I always tell to my guys. Okay, next time I want it to be inside a studio with the air conditioning and no, not going out. Yeah,
Blow your hair. Yeah,
yeah. Something easy and let's do it, and then we put it something back on on the screen because it's terrible.
for the next album will be like Elven King, like more relaxed, and maybe you can do that. So
Probably it's just because we are getting old, so we want to have something as easy as
you
possible.
can always have an animation video.
Yeah, exactly.
You
That is
don't
perfect. You don't have to do anything basically.
Yeah, and you save money. I just animate it, and you don't have to be there. Do You've been doing music videos for so long? Was there ever like a director that had like a very crazy idea for a music videos that you guys were like, no, we're not, we're not gonna do that.
Usually we want to have always a lot of control on the things that we do. So we used to tell ourselves what we want to do to avoid this kind of things where people comes with crazy idea that we don't like and we need to stop. So we basically try to have a clear vision and tell them what we want to see, what is the idea. Then they can propose all the things, but we prefer to know it in advance in order to avoid this kind of things where they coming out with ideas that maybe don't have nothing to do with the band or with what we want to represent. So yeah.
Yeah, they'll be like, so in this, you're all jumping in the freezing water.
Yeah, yeah,
So,
that kind of stuff. Yeah, it happened. For example, for a video shooting, we did a photo shooting that we did for Secrets of the Magic Grimoire. We were up in the mountains and with in the winter time, and don't have long sleeves. It was we were just with naked naked arms, and it was like freezing like hell, and we were probably the day after all with the cold and flu because it was so cold, and we needed to stay there and do this photo shooting in the mountains with I don't know how many degrees they were, but it was really, really cold.
hopefully the photos turn out good.
Yeah, 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 exactly. The result is always good, but then if you see what there is behind, is always another story.
Always. One track that I enjoyed that it's not a, I don't think it's a single, it's Star Bath.
Oh
Uh,
yes,
yeah,
I like the that one as well. I think it's one of the most folk influenced song of the album. I think it would have worked good also like just acoustic guitars, violins, and something like that. A little bit more smoothly, but we wanted to have still an heavy track. But still, there is a lot of folk melodies going on. There are some traditional instruments in the album. We used real hardy-gardy, for example, real bagpipes, real tin whistles. So we wanted to have these real folk instruments to give the right atmospheres. And I think that Starbath is one of these songs where there is a lot of folk going on and a lot of traditional music influence stuff.
yeah. I put in my notes things like that about the traditional, but I also put that it will be a good drinking song, like some perfect.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It could be. You know, all the folk stuff usually tends to give the idea to have party drink and that kind of stuff. So yeah, sure.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
the metal scene in Italy is really rich with all types of bands.
Yes.
So yeah, it's I've been to Italy. It's a, you know, it's a beautiful country. Where in Italy are you? What
We we live in the northeast, not far from Venice.
ah
But yeah, you know, closer to the Austrian border, basically. That is why a lot of people usually tends to tell us, "Oh, you're coming from Italy. How can you play folk metal or something like that when you are, you know, all sun beaches and seaside and stuff like that?" But we basically are in the mountainside, very in the north, closer to Austria and with a lot of folk tradition, for example.
yeah. Well,
Yeah,
Italy country. So yeah.
yeah,
Uh, so I want to show the artwork of the record, which is
yeah.
pretty artwork, and we can talk all about the artwork of the record, which obviously goes hand in hand with the music. So here we have it. So yeah, this is very epic. You know, you have like first of all, tell me who did this painting.
This is a great artist. It's called Sofia Dankova. She's come from Slovakia and she did the cover for all the three albums of the trilogy. She's a great artist, and especially when we try to explain her what we want to feel in the cover more than see, we try to give her the feelings that we want to express with it. She's always great in coming out with great outputs, great ideas and stuff. So she's great.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit about what we're seeing here.
Well, basically, it's the very end of the story. In the previous chapter, the album
The
previous
battle.
to this, Rapture, we basically see how all the 8 characters of the story died in a miserable way, following the divination of the reader of the runes. So basically, here we see the 8 characters once they are already dead. Basically, obviously, it's a representation of the story. So we can see, for example, the charming lady on the right, the soldier on the left, the monastery abbot. We see the grave digger and so on, and they are inside a creek of water for a reason that I don't want to tell right now because I can spoil too much about that. And the figure in the middle, the ghost figure, is Luna or Ethel, which is the main character of this finale, and we will find out who really she is and what is the link between her and the reader of the runes that we see here. Going out of the scene like his work is done and is finished. What is his planning to do.
Yeah. Well, yeah. You guys definitely put a lot of work into this, and it shows. And I can tell where you're like, no more. Like
we
even meeting and some other from the band members, like, hey, we should do another trilogy. Like, no.
no, no. We
we
we exactly we exactly said this one. No, no more concept album, no more trilogies, no more stuff like that.
can. So you have to have respect for those bands that every album is a concept record.
That is something that, yeah, to me it's a little bit too much because I love concept albums, but when the sagas are going really too far, it's also difficult to maybe following what is happening for real. And I think that it's always good to have a story that starts and finish and you can enjoy it instead of something that is going on forever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's some concept albums that are great. There's some that never should have happened. Do you have like a favorite concept album of all time?
Myself, wow, I have a lot of concept album that I love. King Diamonds is one of my favorite artists, and with a lot of great concept albums. That is a career based on concept albums, for example, but it's a different story every album, which is great.
Yeah.
Then one of my favorite is Streets from Sabotage, which is another great album of the 90s. The Crimson Idol by Wasp, another great one. And well, Seven Son by Iron Maiden is not really a concept album, but it's another great album. So there are a
Yeah.
lot of great things.
Yeah, no, definitely. So now that the album's almost out, almost at April 11, like,
Yep.
uh, you guys doing more shows? What have you had planned for the near future?
Well, strangely, we just not just, but we have returned home since 1 month from a 35 days tour around Europe. So we basically were on tour before the release of the album because we were part of this big tour called the Pagan Fest with A Storm and Siferum, Tyr, and Idefog. And it was a great tour all around Europe. Um, we had also the chance to play 2 new songs, which were the singles that were already released at the time. So we already tried the new songs live. So basically, the big tour in Europe we have already done. So now we are taking some break, and we will start again in April with some shows, and then we have the summer festivals, which are pretty full packed. Then we will probably go to Japan for a tour, which is something that we needed to do before COVID. It was already planned during the COVID. It was canceled, and now finally we can maybe return there.
Yeah, no, I totally understand. Yeah, some rest and then do a tour again.
Yeah.
Uh, obviously this album ends with the epic finisher, Reader of the Runes, which is an 11-minute track that obviously we won't spoil because that's like the epic finish to this story. You have to have like an epic closer if you're doing.
Yes, exactly. It was kind of, the songs we need to do to end, because it's not only ending this album, but it is the final song for the whole trilogy. So we wanted to do the most epic track possible, and it needed to be kind of a 10 minutes long song, something like that, because we wanted to condense a little bit of everything there in order to summarize the whole story and the musical endeavor of the three albums. So you can find a little bit of everything there, from the speed metal stuff to the acoustic dreaming stuff, to something more obscure, to blast beat, a little bit of everything, and a great epic finale that I think it's perfect to close the trilogy.
Yeah, and I think it's a great track that you put all of the elements that made Elven King into one song. Uh,
Yeah, yes, that was the idea. We didn't want, it's always difficult for us, no, not for us, but to make long songs that still are interesting without putting too many stuff and just making it long to make it a long song. We wanted to do something that could be easily listened, maybe, and maybe it doesn't feel like a 10 minutes long song, but maybe a 6 minutes, something like that. So we work hard on that, trying to put, as you said, a little bit of everything that is Elvenking, from acoustic to very heavy stuff, condensed into one song without it to be just a mixture of things put there, but something that makes sense and can be listened easily.
yeah, and it flows well because
Yeah.
when you're putting a long song, I think the challenge is to make, first of all, make it flow cohesively, because there's some concept albums that they give you like a 22-minute song and it's kind of choppy, and you can tell when something ends. And also, you need to do a song that keeps the listener engaged for all those minutes without noticing, like, hey, how long does this track still go for?
Yeah, that is the most difficult things. As you said, you describe it perfectly. There are some times when I listen to these 20-minute songs, and then I go, oh, what minutes we are here? Oh, there is another 10-minute song, and I go, ugh. It's really a lot. If you
Sometimes,
listen, yeah, if you listen to a song that is 10 minutes long and it goes flawless without problems, it's a great thing.
yeah, that's happened to me sometimes when I listen to like a prog metal album. That's such a long song, and you're like, they could have probably taken 5 minutes off.
Yeah, exactly. There are
uh,
these, Dream Theater long, 20 minutes long song, which is a little bit too much for me. They could be a little bit shorter. It's great to have the long song, but sometimes it's a little bit too much, for example.
Plus, you have to think like if you're in a tour and you're supporting an act and you're the opening, if all your songs are very long, you won't get to play a lot of songs.
No, exactly. In fact, we played it very rarely, these long songs, also because maybe live they could be also, yeah, more difficult to be listened to. And obviously you can play that song, or you can play other three or four songs of 3-4 minutes long. So it depends. So sometimes it happens, but we prefer to play live something that is easier and more for the crowd, let's say.
Yeah, no, I also would get it. And you want it to flow and have people engage uh,
Exactly.
with the band. So, Aiden, I want to thank you for talking to me. I know you've done like a lot of this. So you I pops up on my YouTube. I'm like, this dude has. I'm like, what am I gonna talk to him about? He's talked to like 30 people about this album already. You'll probably be like, oh, can we talk about something else? At least we like this album. This would be your Return of the Jedi, my
Yeah. Wow.
Ewok.
That is, they know Return of the Jedi. I hope not the ebook film. Now, Return of the Jedi, yeah, that is great.
Yes, that movie was great until they made the new ones, and then they decided that Palpatine had lived.
Yeah, exactly. You're right, man. Yeah,
Being in the movie theater and I was going to shout bullshit, like like Darth Vader threw him through a hole
yeah,
into space. There's no way he could have lived.
exactly, exactly.
That's
So they
why
needed to leave it like that.
they basically what they did. They had no plan. You know what they did? They didn't have the chalkboard that you guys had when you were,
Yeah, yeah. And they
and
just
all of a sudden, different directors, there's like, what do we need to do? People had hated the last one. Just bring Palpatine back. And they'll love it. I know, I was very pissed with it.
Yeah, me too. Me too. I have to say,
Was very
me
poor storytelling. I'm like, really? I'm like, this is an insult to fans.
too.
Like,
It is. Yeah, it
yeah.
is.
But luckily, you guys didn't do that because you had your chalkboard and you wrote all the things, so it would make sense. So
Especially we are not going to do another trilogy and then another one. So probably,
no,
probably it's good to leave it
yeah,
like that.
yeah, maybe who knows? Maybe one time, Elven King, you could do like a special concert, film it for a DVD, and have just play the free albums in their entirety.
Yeah, yeah. They ask us. They are asking us a lot about that. But yeah, first of all, it would be like 3 hours and something. So it's gonna be pretty challenging for us to play all the songs and also for the people. But maybe for some special DVD, special show, we will think about it.
Yeah,
It's easier probably to make a best of the 3 albums and make it
I
a
will
little
make.
shorter set, but still will be great.
Yeah, yeah, and you imagine it would be funny if you played the free albums and you're playing the last song of the third album you finished, and someone asks, "Play another one."
We don't have anything else to
No
play.
more 1.5 hours. Uh, so yeah, so it seems like you're going to be busy the rest of the year.
Yes, probably. Yep.
Yeah, hey, I want to thank you for chatting with me here from
Thank you
East
very much.
to Puerto Rico and talking about the this epic trilogy and more stuff. So before I let you go, anything you like to say to the fans before we go?
Well, I hope that the fan, yeah, we are talking about a trilogy, a concept album. In a nowadays in an age of Spotify where probably people are listening only to the singles and the average attention is down to 2 minutes, something like that. So probably is not the best thing to nowadays to create not only a concept album but a trilogy of albums where you need to read the lyrics, try to follow the story, and especially for new generation, I think it's something really difficult to follow. But I still hope that there are people out there that have the same passion as we had back in the days, back in the 90s or late 80s, to listen to this kind of albums that are a little bit more intense than a normal the normal music that we used to listen on Spotify, and the single like that, and still have the passion to sit down maybe with the lyrics, try to understand the story, trying to understand why this song has this special mood and atmosphere because it's following the story and so on. I think that would be very great if also new generation can, return to live music like this as we did back in the 90s or in the 80s.
Yeah, yeah, we missed the 90s.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
yeah. Well, yeah, in the 90s, there are a lot of like to me back in the day, albums were usually an hour long. So that I
Yeah, yeah.
like I remember when I bought the Smashing Pumpkins Melancholy and the Infinite
Melancholy, yeah.
hour and a half record, and I listened it to front to back. So yeah,
Yeah, I
it's
don't know who nowadays can listen to an album front to back like Melancholy's.
the,
Probably they listen to three songs and they skip to something else.
yeah. You know what? We should call Billy Corgan and say that to him because a year and a half ago he put out a 33 song record.
Yeah, I know. I didn't check it all that album to be sincere.
I listened to it.
You-
And
you- no, no way. Okay.
no, but you know what his mistake was? His mistake was that he said that it was a follow up to that Melon.
God, yeah.
Don't say that.
Never say that. You know, you don't have to say.
you're you're putting too much pressure on yourself, and people are going to judge it with that. So yeah, that
Yeah,
just don't say anything.
yeah. Too big expectations. Yeah, for
Big
sure.
is what happened with Star Wars.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It is for
You
sure.
expectations, and then when it came out, you at least us from that generation were all this. Everyone I know was disappointed. So
Yeah, I was back when I was at the cinema at the time. But also, you can reevaluate the things a little bit, you know, with time and so on. With the also with the new trilogies, with the back one,
yeah,
and yeah, I think that the you know that trilogy was not the best in any case, except for maybe for the very last part of the third one.
the only movie I liked from the new ones, and it's not part of any trilogy, was Rogue One. That's the
Rogue One is great. Yeah,
because that movie really tied in to episode
yeah,
four. Like it had that feel of the old movies. That's why I love that.
yes,
But
yeah,
besides,
yeah.
other ones are certified crap. In
Yeah, you know, and a lot of people didn't like Solo, for example. I like it, for
oh,
example,
you know
myself.
why I
You
like
you you,
Solo?
don't- you didn't like it.
Because that dude was not Harrison Ford.
Ah, yeah, that's the biggest problem, obviously.
He didn't have Harrison Fordness. I'm like, I'm
Yeah,
sorry, not Solo. To me, he was too weak. I don't know. It was a bad casting for me. But yeah,
yeah, yeah.
but that
Probably you're right. It was important to have the right one.
the right one to capture.
Yeah, yes, yes.
So yeah, Aiden, I'm gonna let you go because it's late
Thank you
over
very
there.
much. Yeah, no worries.
Tired of talking to this album, but at least we talked about other stuff.
Yeah, well, was a very nice discussion. I like to discuss about different things, you know, and go to a topic to another topic. So it was a big pleasure.
Yeah. So Couchers, Elvenking, the album Reader of the Runes, Luna out April 11th. So I'll post the link for people who want to pre-order and get that. So again, Aiden, thank you for joining me.
Thank
And
you very much.
until next time, Couchers, this is Hector, the Shield Dude on a couch, and I'll see you all right here on the couch. Thank you and goodbye.